What's up, Ocean? You got Matt here, coach of your Montreal Milotic, bringing you our second draft for the APA season number 7. If you guys missed out on the APA for the first draft at least, we had a team surrounding Mew with Terrakion, Scizor, Mamoswine. It's a very good team, and there's a playlist down in the description for you to check out all the battles. We ended up having an amazing record, and spoiler, it'll be on the screen in 3, 2, 1. We finished 3-1 with that draft, which is awesome. But this is now a brand new draft that we're going to be using for the next 4 weeks. And this draft here, we ended up with the final pick, the 16th pick, which some people might say is a good thing. Some people might say it's not a bad thing. I personally believe that it is a bad thing. I don't like having the final pick in drafts. Yes, I get a wheel, but especially when in a league, it really revolves around you getting some really high power stuff. Losing out on those things kind of hurts, especially when in this draft here, a lot of Pokemon went in areas where I don't believe they should have gone, and it really kind of hurt what I could have taken. At the end of the day though, I believe I do have a really good team. It just is a team that is weakened by quite a bit and is has quite a few big weaknesses. So we're gonna go ahead and jump into it, starting off with our very first mon. Of course, this is a points draft. I just remind you of that. Our very first mon is going to be our Zygarde here. We got Zygarde, 18 points is fantastic here for Zygarde, one of the higher point Pokemons. Giving me a ground type right off the bat is awesome. Problem is it doesn't get rocks, which does really hurt it quite a bit. It is a dragon type, has one of the most spammable moves in the game. 95 base speed is not bad at all, and if an opponent doesn't prep for Zygarde, they will just lose the game because a Subtoxic or Subglare or Coil Set or Dragonet Set or Band Set can all do a ton of work with Zygarde. Its coverage though is decent. Sludge Wave is there for those poison and grass types, or grass and fairy types like Bulu or Whimsicott, which can kind of wall it. But in general, this Pokemon does basically what I needed to do in terms of surviving many hits and then sweeping down the line. It is pretty weak to ice, so I want to make sure I have a good ice answer. And it also is weak to Dragon, which I do have a really good check to after that. Last time I used Zygarde, I paired it with Tapu Fini, and it's a really good combination to be able to check each other's weaknesses. And speaking of Tapu Fini, it is our next Pokemon. Yes, on the wheel, I ended up getting Tapu Fini here. Again, this core is really good. It does have its problems dealing with Pokemon like Freeze Dry, Pokemon like Zorora, which can kind of handle it pretty easily, Pokemon like Scizor, like Ferrothorn, some of these Pokemon which can easily check it. This Pokemon has, or this core rather, has a hard time dealing with, but it doesn't mean it's a bad core. We get access to knockoff on this Pokemon, get access to defog, screen. It's a really good offensive Pokemon with a Specs or a Scarf. It can set up as well, gets actually decent coverage, Fairy, Water, Ice, all really good options. And in general, it's just a solid, bulky Pokemon that can do many different things, support and be offensive, which is exactly what I want to do with this team here. It's also got decent speed at base 85, which is exactly what I want. Moving on to our next mon, it is going to be all the way back after like 32 picks, 36 picks, something like that, 32 picks go by, and then it's our next pick here. And I really want to get Scolipede. Scolipede is really good because not only does it get speed boost, but it's a Pokemon that has to involve so much prep around it to be able to beat it 1v1 or beat it 1v6 or whatever it's going to be. And if you don't have those Pokemon that can beat it reliably, then Scolipede can really go in. And part of the reason why I want to get this team, yes, it's pretty weak to Scizor, pretty weak to Ferrothorn and those kind of Pokemon like that, but I don't expect to really see the Scizor or the Ferrothorn. It's very unlikely that I do. There's only 4 teams in the league that I'm playing this week, or this draft rather. And these 4 teams, they honestly have a pretty hard time dealing, or sorry, let's try this again. Those non-4 teams, those teams that don't have the Scizors, the Ferrothorns, the Pokemon like that, the Skarmories, they're gonna have a really hard time dealing with this core here. So I feel really good about my chance with it. It does get spikes, it does get toxic spikes, which is very nice. It's a really solid lead, really good offensively, and really good with support roles as well. Not a dedicated wall, but can be very annoying, and it is the highest speed Pokemon that I do have on my roster, capping out at 112. Moving on though, our next mon is going to be Shadow Tag Gothitelle. This is disgusting, okay? Shadow Tag Gothitelle is already insane, and it requires so much prep. And if a team cannot beat the Shadow Tag Gothitelle, then they're gonna lose. If a team can beat Shadow Tag Gothitelle, but it hurts the overall composition of their team to deal with Zygarde and Tapu Fini and Scolipede, then it's a win for me as well. So I really wanted to use this Pokemon as a way to really force prep and be super annoying. I've used this Pokemon before numerous times. I've gone up against it numerous times, and it's so annoying. This Pokemon gets access to Cosmic Power, gets access to Calm Mind. Tricking a Scarf is really good. Access to Store Power is awesome. Rest with this, what is it called? The Cosmic Power set is really good and can cause a lot of problems to a lot of different people if you aren't prepared around it correctly. It's going to force Shed Shells. It's going to force Ghost types. It's going to force random U-turns or Volt Switches on Pokemon that may not want to run them. It kind of disincentivizes some setup in a certain way. In general, it's a good Pokemon that forces so much prep, and that's exactly what I want in a team like this. Moving on though, our next mon, I got sniped here. I really wanted to get Raikou. Unfortunately, it got taken out the pick before me, which hurts so much. But instead, we ended up going with Galar Zapdos, and this Pokemon is really good. What it does for me, number one, it forces a lot of prep, because number one, I said that twice. Number one is that Gothitelle forces in some dark types. What Pokemon destroys dark types? Galar Zapdos. I have Toxic Spikes and Spikes on an amazing setter with Scolipede. What Pokemon takes advantage of Defog? Galar Zapdos does. This Pokemon has such an amazing time against quite a few Pokemon and can really pressure a lot. Right now my team has a hard time dealing with Fairy types, but I have the Scolipede to break through them. This Pokemon helps me break through normal types, helps me break through steel types, which my team may not appreciate very much outside of obviously the Zygarde, and that's saying if it's like not a Pokemon that resists steel with its secondary typing, like the Ferrothorn and Scizor that I keep mentioning. In general, it's an amazing Pokemon. It's the first Pokemon that I had that gets access to momentum on this team, which is really not great because it doesn't fit my playstyle exactly, but it hits so damn hard. And at this point in the draft, I was like, you know what? Fuck it. I'm just going to spend as many points as possible to build an insanely powerful team of like 6 Pokemon and then the rest of it just kind of like support around that. And that's kind of what I've done here. These 5 Pokemon are going to come to basically every single week and hit things really, really hard. And in general, they can beat 90% of different teams just off the matchup alone. It's going to be how the remaining 5 to 6 Pokemon really fare the rest of the way. So let's go ahead and jump into our next mon. It is going to be a Pokemon I need to have for hazard support. It also gives me more momentum, and that's going to be Serena. Serena is nice to have. It's just a decent Pokemon all around. Pretty good base speed. I believe it's base 78 if I'm not mistaken. It's actually base 72, my bad. But in general, it's a solid Pokemon with access to decent coverage, play rough, it gets access to triple axle, high jump kick, power whip, it gets access to drop kick as well, which is really nice to lower defenses. It gets access to rabbit spin, which is awesome. U-turn as well. It's just a solid Pokemon that can do quite a bit all around. It gets recovery and synthesis too, which is really cool. It can be very defensive or very offensive, and it's kind of what I want to do with my team. Right now, the only Pokemon that's kind of locked into one role is going to be the Galar Zapdos, which can basically just be offensive, and that's it. If it got Roost, then I would be happy to run a defensive Zapdos. Like honestly, I'd be loving it, but hey, I can't. It doesn't get it. But either way, Serena's really solid here. It allows me to make it so Tapu Fini doesn't have to run Defog every single week, and it also forces in some Pokemon like Fire types, like Steel types, like Opposing Grass types, Pokemon like Poison types that can really take advantage of Serena, and then I can have my Scolipede or my Zygarde or even my Zapdos just beat them down 1v1, which is really important in a matchup or in a game like this. Moving on to our next mon, I was missing quite a bit. I wanted more defog, but I'm also realizing at this point I'm not going to get all the types that I want, so I decided to go with Silvally here, which is pretty important if I can actually skip to the next set. Silvally, there we go. Silvally's decent all around. I like using it a lot. It can do so many different things, whether it's offensive with Flame Charge and multi-attack with Swords Dance. It can be special, it can be Assault Vest, it can be Resto Chesto as a normal type, it can be any type I need. You're going to see this is my dark type this season, so it's not great, obviously, but it is a dark type nonetheless. I do have to hold the Dark Memory though, but it's not the end of the world. In general, it just does so much for me. Parting Shot is great to get into my Tapu Fini, my Zygarde, my Scolipede, my Zapdos, all of which can set up. And in general, I want to have so much momentum in the back half of my draft so that I can really get into my Gothitelle efficiently, get into my Scolipede and my Zygarde really well, and punish them that way. In general, this Pokemon pairs really well with so many different teams, and it matches the speeds here as Zygarde, the same one, but both these mons can kind of decide, do I want to go offensive with speed or do I need to have the bulk? Which one is it? So I don't necessarily need to say, you know what, in a matchup like this, my opponent might think that Zygarde is really good defensively with no investment, so they can lower the speed they have. Now they have to worry about Silvally as well, which can definitely be offensive in any set that it wants to. Most of the time, Ghost Silvally is going to rip through teams because the Flame Charge with multi-attack Ghost plus like any coverage is going to be insane. So I definitely feel that Silvally is an awesome choice here. Now you might be noticing I'm missing a Steel type, and I really want to get Scizor. Obviously Scizor got sniped early on, so we decided to go with a backup option being Metagross. I've used Metagross in the past. Zero is back. I had the Kill Leader last time I used Metagross, and it was insane. This Pokemon is really good. I use it really well. In general, it is a second Psychic type, but it does very different things than Gothitelle does. And honestly, if I bring Gothitelle, it's going to be not to take hits, not to be a Psychic type in general, but it's going to be to get rid of something specific. It doesn't have a type, it has an ability. Metagross, though, does have a type, and it does have quite a few things it can do. This is my first and my only rocker this season, which is not great, but it gets access to Bullet Punch, it gets access to Agility, it gets really good coverage all around, whether it's Psychic moves or Steel moves, or the Elemental Punches or Earthquakes, or even Grass Knot, if I want to run special or want to hit something that was really heavy or 4 times weak to grass. This Pokemon can do it. It is so damn good, and it does get Cosmic Power with Body Press, which is amazing here, if only it got Store Power, but it is still a very good Pokemon nonetheless, and I do kind of wish it had Recovery, but it was this or Bronzong, and honestly, I want to have more offensive pressure on my team than Bronzong would provide, so we decided to go with Metagross, and I'm really happy that I have done that so far. Our next mon is going to be A Pokemon we're using to replace the Raikou, and that's going to be Rotom. Regular Rotom here is 6 points. At this point, I have like 8 points left, so it's not bad at all, but it's a really high tier, top tier, heavy draft. And I'm okay with this. Rotom is decent. I've used it decently well in the past before, as long as it doesn't get crit or anything like that. But Volt Switch is nice, obviously. Getting access to Hex is nice. Stab Hex, a lot of ways to paralyze, burn, or poison everything. Paint Split for recovery, Defog, it's Nasty Plot, tons of really good options here. And Rotom in general can hit things really hard, can lure quite a bit in. Trick a Choice Scarf, Trick a Choice Spec, just be an annoying Pokemon all around and really open doors for the rest of my team. That is exactly what Rotom does here, and I'm hoping that we can continue that trend that I've used with Rotom in the past. And then our final one, we have 2 points left. What do I want to get? Well, I said, you know what? Just in case, I'm going to get a Dark type, and I'm going to get a Pokemon that can actually do something useful with 2 points. That's going to be Morgrem. Morgrem gives me access to screens. Prankster screens is nice. Prankster Thunder Wave is nice. That's really all it does, though. It opens doors for Zygarde, for Scolipede, for Galar Zapdos, for Gothitelle, Scolipede already, Tabu Fini, Silvally, Metagross, whatever. It opens doors for my offensive Pokemon. That's exactly what I wanted here for. Yes, I don't have webs, but I don't need them. I think the offense that I have is super bulky to the point that I can take any hit. I can get up a Dragon Dance or a Speed Boost or whatever it's going to be, a Flame Charge, and really put in work. So in general, I'm happy with this team. Is it the best team I've ever built? No. Do I like it more than my team with Mew? No, I really like that team a lot. It put in a lot of work for me. We finished 3-1 with it after all. I was pretty confident with how it went. So switching up the team now is not the best, obviously, but I'm kind of happy with how this team came together. We do have a really good core, a really nasty core that can punish quite a bit of things with the support from Gothitelle, can make things really tough for our opponents. And in general, our top 5 is just insane. We can just switch around that 6th Pokemon whenever we need to and go to work that way. But guys, that's going to be it for this team builder, or not the team builder, but the draft analysis. If you enjoyed it, leave a like, comments, of course, as well. Tomorrow is the release of Pokemon Legends Arceus. Make sure to follow me on Twitch, twitch.tv/MattOshea, and I'll be able to stream the release of Pokemon Legends Arceus. So that's going to be tomorrow, guys. Thank you for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. Comment which Pokemon is your favorite Pokemon down below, and I will see you all next time.